and get your hair cut way up. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
Your Talkback lawyer is in the house. David Whiting, Melbourne solicitor, dispensing some free legal advice if you'd like to call in. 1300 222 774. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Virginia.
Did we have any
Enjoying the cold?
Oh, sorry, say again?
Are you enjoying the cold?
I love the chilly mornings. I think they're beautiful. I like the blue start and the fact that the sun's getting up earlier and earlier. I come to work in the dark, but just that hint of gold on the horizon every morning is beautiful.
I'm enjoying the walks.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I thought I detected a note of sarcasm there for a second, David. Surely not.
Never.
Never. Do we have
Don't
a long
even know
delay
to
on this
spell it.
line, Ross? I wonder if there's a bit of a delay. Anyway, have a listen. We'll see how we go. David, was there any homework from last week for us to check in on?
A fascinating question last week from Jackie. And Jackie was a tenant in a unit and was looking to move to another unit and was told and made a couple of applications and was advised by one of the people she made an application to that her application was rejected because of an adverse notation on a tenancy database. And the question that we had to decide was what were the prospects of fixing the problem? And the answer is that there are extraordinary options to fix the problem. And in fact, the Residential Tenancies Act contains a provision, an express provision about dealing with it.
What's that?
And they're very limited as to what they can actually put on a tenancy database. So you can only be listed on a tenancy database if the agreement has come to an end, the tenant breached the agreement, and because of the breach they either owe more than the bond and VCAT has made an order, or there's been an order made for possession.
Hang on, can I just jump in and clarify something though? From memory, I don't think the comment was put on the database. The comment was sort of made in a reference or in a direct communication between the next rental agency.
Oh, okay. I had assumed that let's not make that assumption either. That the rental manager of the new property was looking at the rental data at something that had been put on a database by the rental manager at the previous property.
Well, let's treat it as both. So the database, you're limited, but in a private communication or in an email, that person can say whatever they want, I guess, unless it's defamatory.
Well, no, they're not, because there are a series of rules relating to the behaviour of estate agents. So there's a series of regulations called the Estate Agents General Conduct Rules. And the suggestion is that Jackie writes to the officer in effective control of the agency.
Yep.
They're responsible for the behaviour of everyone in the agency, whether an agent's representative or not. And the particular references are to Regulations 10, which covers honesty, 9, taking instructions from the principal's agent. So it's possible that, from the principal, a person who owned the property. So as a matter of logic, the adverse notation should really only occur in circumstances where it's been permitted by the owner of the property. So if it's not from an agency database, then the complaint is made to the principal of the estate agency where the listing is. And you can then take the matter up with Consumer Affairs Victoria, which is now the licensing body for estate agents. So if you believe there's a professional conduct misbehaviour, that's where you go.
Wouldn't you also just call that person who made that false assertion and say, why are you doing that? I've been told that you said I was a bad tenant. Are you really only saying that because you're trying to keep me as a tenant? That's outrageous. Wouldn't you actually just have that direct conversation and see if you could scotch it that way?
Well, you'd try. But, you
don't have much faith in you.
No, I don't. In the circumstances, just come along and say, I'm so desperate to keep this tenant, I'd lie about them. Makes me very worried.
Yeah, but when you call someone out on a lie, many people just collapse in the face of it. Others double down, but some will just collapse.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then go to the officer in effect.
Yes, exactly right. I'm just talking about first steps, I suppose, rather than getting caught in bureaucracy. Listen to him. Don't listen to me. 10 minutes past 10, David Whiting is with you, advising you. And first up on the line this morning is Stephanie in Kensington. Hi, Stephanie.
Good morning, Virginia. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Question for David. I'd like his advice, please. My son is in year 10 and his school is falsely accusing him of hacking into the school intranet and viewing test results and student files and things like that. And what they've actually done is excluded him from school. So obviously he's attending school virtually, but he hasn't been able to for the past week. And I just want your advice on how to get my son back to school.
A government school or private school?
Private school.
Okay, because the rules would be different. If it was the government school, you would be applying to the education department.
Right.
Have they provided you with any evidence, or is it just an assertion?
They.
Is it possible that somebody has logged in using his username and password at the school?
Yes, it is. It's likely that he was hacked. And whoever hacked him hacked into the school.
Stephanie, can I just jump in? How do you know for certain that it was not your son?
He just does not have the skills of a master hacker.
David?
Okay. I think on that level I have absolutely no skills, Stephanie. I suppose that you would need to be... Are you able to establish he was at a different place doing a different thing at the time these things occurred? So I would probably be going back to the school and saying, look, can you tell me when they happened and what circumstances they happened? And it's also quite likely that school, if they've done their job properly, should have some idea of the IP address from which the hacking occurred. They should be able to tell the computer from which it came.
Yes, I thought that they have said that, but I mean, we ascertain that, we've done virus scans and so on our computer, and we, think that our son was actually hacked.
No, I accept that. The complication becomes if the hacker has used your son's computer to hack the school, because then you'll be shown as the source. I would probably be trying to look at some IT organisation who would be able to, whoever the IT supplier is for the school, to actually source it back to the IP address of the device from which the hacking came. And then you'd be looking at... Sorry?
Yeah. No, go on.
And then I would be looking to determine where your son was at the time those hacking events occurred.
Yeah.
Have you managed to establish that yet, Stephanie, about when it was said to have occurred, where and what your son was doing at the time? Have you managed to establish that?
I mean, it's probably it's all been, he's been at home for months, so it's not like he hasn't not been at home.
Right, but then your computer will have an IP address, the one he uses to access school.
Yeah. Yes,
so
that's right.
Part
that's
of the
computer
issue
that was hacked. Yeah.
No. He will use his computer to access the resources of the school.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose the difficulty would be is, from the way you've described it, it sounds as if the hacking has come from your son's computer, not just from his username and password.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes. So I think your starting proposition has to be, let's accept that it's your son's username and password. Well, we can fix that by changing the username and the password.
Yep.
The next question then becomes was it from my computer, and how do you know it was from my computer? Can I take the computer to the school so your IT people can see whether or not that was the source of the hack?
That should be able to be figured out. Can I just share this with you? And I'm not suggesting anything here, Stephanie, but this is from Jane in Bittern, who says, as an ex-school principal, I have shown parents what their children have done and they've been completely shocked. I wonder if there's a deeper conversation to be had, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you, Virginia, but not in this case.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll leave that with you. Good luck, Stephanie. Thanks so much. Lewis has called in from Surrey Hills. Lewis, good morning.
And David,
Good morning.
I own a third-floor apartment, which I would like to lift the... I'd like to know, am I able to...
Are you on the top floor,
lift the
are you,
floor?
Lewis?
I am
Are
on
you
the
on the top floor?
Yes. So I'd like to put skylights in, and also put a roof ladder into for storage, because there's so little storage in this apartment. So how would I have to approach the body corporate, or how does that process work?
Lewis, your starting position would be to get a copy of the plan of subdivision for your unit, for your development.
Yes.
And that will tell you what are the dimensions of your unit, and it'll be the top and the bottom and the sides.
Right.
So I've looked at a couple that were, a shop with a dwelling above, and in that one, in the one that I looked at, the size of the unit above included about 2 metres of airspace. So in that case, what you're proposing to do would be quite achievable. But
Fantastic.
it's rare. The usual one is that it will be defined by, say for the unit below you, it will be defined by the ceiling. So if the top of your unit is defined by your ceiling, then the answer is you would need to enter into an agreement with the owners corporation to rent or license some of the common property. Right?
Okay.
Because the space above that belongs to everybody, even if you're the only one who in theory can get access to it.
That's right. All right. I'll chase that up.
Yep, good luck.
So how long have you been there?
About 6 years.
If you talk to the lawyer or conveyancer who acted when you bought it, then they will be able to give you a copy of the plan of subdivision, and it will tell you that kind of information, where your unit stops and the owners corporation common property starts.
Because the owners corporation, David, may want to at some point put a roof garden on there, and may not want it to be solely owned by one
Lewis
person.
was describing putting something in the roof cavity, which would indicate that it's a pitched roof and there's storage
space.
opportunity for him, but for no one else.
Good luck with that. Grace has called in from Dramana. Hello, Grace.
Oh, good morning, David and Virginia. I'm a first-time caller. We
Welcome
love
aboard.
your program. I think it's a great legal service to the ABC listeners. Our problem is about 3 weeks ago, we've been getting phone calls to our landline, which is not listed. People want to pay BPay with their credit card, and we get this about 3 or 4 calls a day. Since then, we have looked up the BPay webpage and found that our numbers actually listed there.
Oh.
So we presume must be a printing mistake. And there is no contact number, so to ring up and complain. And we're not very IT savvy, so later on we looked it up again and find there is a space there on the site that you can submit an inquiry. So we send a very brief email telling them our problem 3 times, and we never got a response.
Grace, I want you to contact the Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman.
We have done that. My husband did that. So let me tell you, David. So we have run Westpac Bank because they seem to pay with their Westpac card. And we have, my husband's run our bank to ask for their advice. And also Telstra, presumably a special division. And then he has run ACCC and Ombudsman. And nobody can help us. So we like your advice. Which organization can provide us a number or email service that we can complain about this?
Well, your complaint has to be to the person who has published your phone number incorrectly.
Yes, we have done that.
Which you said is the bank, is that right?
No, we have found this little space on the BPay website that you can send an inquiry. So we send, different days, an email listing that they have got the number wrong and they're losing
but the
their
issue,
customers.
Grace, the issue, Grace, is with the person who provided the number to that organisation. So your complaint, you could talk to the, I think BPay is owned by Macquarie, but you might choose to talk to the Banking Industry Ombudsman about a bank which is inappropriately publishing your private telephone number.
I see.
I mean, my preference would be you use the Ombudsman services where you can.
My husband did that on Friday. They said they couldn't help us.
So you did talk to the banking industry ombudsman, did you?
Well, he's some
or the telecommunications industry ombudsman?
May you perhaps later on provide us the phone number after the program? Then we can check whether it is actually the same number he was ringing.
Well, they're two different organisations. One is a complaint about a telephone service.
Yes.
And I suppose I would be using them probably to ask whether your phone number could get changed or there could be some filtering put on it. But in terms of the incorrect publication of your telephone number, I would be trying to talk to the people who, and be given that that BPay is owned by a bank, and given that you're saying that it's Westpac, which is it's a Westpac advice, which is the wrong number, then I would be talking to the banking industry ombudsman and saying that a bank has wrongly published your telephone number and that's what you want fixed.
Grace, I'm going to pop you back to my producer and we'll help you out with the numbers there. Good luck. But would you also want to have a conversation, David, with your own telco, saying, hey, someone else is now piggybacking onto our number, they're using our number? Wouldn't they have
Yes, but you really then want them to do something about it. So it's look, let's say it was your home number and someone put it up by mistake.
Yep.
Your telco can't do anything about that.
I should imagine.
You've really got to find the person who put it up.
Yeah, BPay would want the calls going to them anyway, so they've got some interest in sorting this. But anyway, we'll give the numbers to Grace and hopefully she can fix that. Malcolm's called in from Clyde North. Hi, Malcolm.
Hi. Thanks, David and Virginia. I have a problem with a new car that was picked up in late March, and not long after it developed a tapping noise and various backwards and forwards. It is now permanently back with the car retailer to fix a problem with valve lifters. It's unknown whether
is it a problem with the? Have your online searches revealed that this is a significant problem with that particular model or engine?
It's a new model. The engine in this new model may be slightly different than previous models, but I believe it's the same designation of the motor.
And so what we're really saying is this car is a lemon. Is that what you're suggesting, or is it a systematic fault?
I don't know how it would have got through. I'm not sure it is a lemon, but you'd think that the drivetrain would be pretty solid now.
You would hope so, yes.
Yes. And there's also an additional smell with the car, which they've said, oh no, it's a new car smell, but I don't believe it is. Because
new car smell smells like plastic and leather, don't they?
Yes.
New car smell is a nice smell. If it's unpleasant, it's not a new car smell.
Yeah, it's more like a burnt oil smell. And I sent an email to the manager and subsequently forwarded that to the car maker's headquarters, who apparently are dealing with it, saying that, well, it is an exhaust valve issue or lifter valve issue, so that explains why I'm getting this extra smell. So what about all the other components down the train from that, including EGR, etc.? I can't quite remember all the things I actually said.
Well, what should Malcolm do next, David?
I would probably want to get someone else to prepare a report on the car as to exactly what's wrong with it, Malcolm, that you might find that to be difficult to achieve. When you look at one of the issues, the reports with cars stopping on freeways and things like that, the difficulty there was in getting the manufacturer to acknowledge that there was in fact an issue. I would probably be trying to put some serious internet time to see if there are other people with similar issues, and I would probably give the matter to the manufacturer as a problem rather than the dealer.
Yes,
And if push comes to shove, and so it's now between 5 and 6 months since you bought the car, how much of that time has it been back at the dealership?
Since about mid-June.
Well, I would have given up by now. Your patience is greater than mine. I would probably have gone to VCAT using the Australian consumer law to say that the vehicle doesn't meet what it's required to do, and therefore I want my money back.
Okay, Malcolm, good luck. If you've got to go to VCAT, we wish you all the best with that. Andrew's called in from Elwood. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning.
Andrew, you there?
Yep.
Try again. Go ahead.
Away, Andrew.
Can you hear me? Sorry, guys.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, since moving into our new apartment 3 years ago, we've had a problem with our basement car park carbon monoxide exhaust extraction system. It's a mouthful, isn't it? It's been forced.
Yeah, the line. I'm really sorry to do this to you. The line is dodgy, which was my problem at the very beginning there. So I don't know if we're going to be able to answer your problem today. I'm sorry. I know that sounds rough. Anne, can I quickly go to you in Ballarat? Let's see if we can fit in your request just before we head off to talk to Marcus Padley. Hi, Anne.
Good morning. My question is, I'm just about to build a new home, and the home I'm currently living in, I wish to gift to one of my sons. How do I go about that, and is there a cost involved in that, please?
Oh, yes. And do you have a... sorry, you're not on a pension or a benefit?
No.
All right.
Still
you can... And has the property been your principal residence since the time you acquired it?
Yes.
Right. Then the transfer of the property to your son will attract the payment of duty.
Yes.
At a rate of around 5.5% of its value. Mm-hmm. So if it's $1 million property, it will be $55,000.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be some other, there'll be land titles fees and legal or conveyancing fees, but that will be it. There'll be no capital gains tax on the issue. Is your son going to use it for his home or an investment property?
For his home.
Okay. That really doesn't make any difference, but the reason why I ask is sometimes we have an argument about, because values are always a range, they're rarely a precise figure. But simple and straightforward, if you had been on a Centrelink benefit or some other kind of social security payment, then my advice would be to not do it because there would be adverse impacts on your Centrelink benefits.
The house that we're going to move to, I wish to do the same thing for our other son. So will there be a time frame that we need to serve before we can do that for him?
No, other than, is your other son going to live with you?
No, he won't.
Well, so why would you not simply leave the second house, in your will to your other son? Because if it's left in your will, there is no stamp duty.
Okay.
So it's a sense the problem, Anne, is that you ask a very precise question. What are the costs of transferring it? If you were to take a broader answer, the answer might be it will be, from a family point of view, significantly cheaper overall if I leave both properties in the will.
We'll have to leave it there, Anne, and we'll leave it for you to consider. David, a little birdie is telling me that on the 3rd of September you might be celebrating a birthday. Is that right?
Indeed. Statutory retirement, I believe. But no, it's not going to happen.
Not on this show. Not yet. No retirement. Okay. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Karen Jardine is suggesting that you're very displeased with my constant interjections and that they should stop, and she would not be surprised if you left this program. Do you plan to leave, David?
I'll give you plenty of notice. I have no current plans. And can I say, Virginia, I got the same complaints for 20 years with John.
Yes.
And my philosophy has always been, it's your program, Virginia. You run it whatever way works for you.
Thank you so much. David Whiting there, who's your very generous Melbourne solicitor, dispensing legal wisdom. He's back next week. And no homework.